have from people actually is what kind of fat should I use for cooking or just for eating? So as we talked about before, fat is not the culprit of all those different diseases that we talk about in the news, like heart disease and cancer, diabetes, and obesity. I've talked in the past before that the main issue, the main cause of all those modern diseases is sugar. So sugar is the main factor of people having all those different issues, and that's the enemy and number one of our health, actually. So on the other side, fat is really needed. I've talked in the past before that our diet should be about 70–80% fat for most people. This is a good ratio in order for us to be able to slow down aging, for example, to combat inflammation, to help healing the body, and so on and so on. And as you get older, your actually body depends a little bit more on fat. There's some people that it's about 25% of people older than 65 that depend on cholesterol food to have proper brain function, meaning that your body is able to make cholesterol if you don't eat enough. But as you get older, this mechanism of making cholesterol declines, and some people actually need to eat foods like eggs and cheese and beef and so on to maintain their brain function. And that's one of the main cause of cognitive decline is lack of fat. Okay, it's because the brain is about 80% fat. So when it comes to fat, it's healthy. You need to eat fat actually on a daily basis. I recommend to eat more or less about 2 tablespoons of fat per meal. Okay. Could be a few eggs, 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So it doesn't matter at the end, but as long as it's good fat. So let's talk about good and bad fat. Let's start first with an example that I had with a client. So I had this woman, she came in, she was dealing with chronic joint problems, okay, like arthritis type of pain. She's tried different medications, she's tried pretty much everything before she came to us. So we started working with her, we started detoxing the body, we started cleaning up her diet, but the joints would not improve much. So we started to look deeper into the diet. So she really cleaned out everything she shouldn't have. She cut out all the sugars, she cut out the coffee, she cut out the alcohol, she cut out the grains, the milk products. She was on a good paleo type of diet, but the joints would not improve. So what we realized is for cooking, she was using grapeseed oil, pretty much every meal to cook her food in. And grapeseed oil is more or less popular, actually. There's a lot of people use it, but it's one of the most toxic oils to use for the body. Actually, there are 8 bad type of oil to use for the body that you should never consume. So these are canola, of course, corn, cottonseed, sunflower, safflower, soy, rice, and grapeseed. So these fats are vegetable oils, okay, and they are not stable when you cook. For example, the grapeseed oil that a lot of people claim that is heat resistant, that is good to cook with, and so on and so on. It's not quite true based on the biochemistry of the oil. So grapeseed oil is really, really high in omega-6. And omega-6 is the most unstable omega when it comes to cooking. So what happened is when you cook the grapeseed oil, you actually destroy the omega-6, making the omega-6 actually toxic, similar than trans fat. Okay, and actually there's some people that say that the omega-6 that is being heated, it's converted or transformed into a trans fat type of problem. So omega-6 should never be cooked. And most of those oils that I talk about has quite a bit of omega-6. So when you cook them, you actually make or renders the oil toxic. So when you ingest that oil, it increases inflammation because we know that omega-6 is the omega that leads to inflammation in the body. Okay, we hear a lot about omega-3 that we don't eat enough, for example, which is true. Most people don't eat enough fish and seafood, which is the main source of omega-3. So what people say, or what doctors recommend, is to increase your omega-3, okay? But they never talk about the quality of the omega-6. So if you eat bad quality omega-6, that's an issue. So you have to cut it down. The ratio should be about 4 omega-3 to 1 omega-6, okay? So that's why they recommend to eat more omega-3 to make the ratio more even. Because right now, the ratio of most American, it's about 20 omega-6 compared to 1 omega-3. So it's way off on the other side. So we need to rebalance everything. So they never talk about what you ingest when it comes to omega-6. And these oils, 8 oils that I mentioned, are the main sources of omega-6. So you really have to cut them out. So if you cut them out, you don't need to consume as much omega-3 to rebalance everything, because you cut out all the omega-6, so it goes down to a normal amount. You do need good omega-6 that is not in nature. Omega-6, like omega-3, is really important for the body. But what happens for the last 40, 50 years is we've been consuming omega-6 that has been processed, denatured, toxic, okay, from junk food, processed food, and the foods that we eat. So the goal is to cut out those foods which contain those oils, those fats, and that helps to rebalance everything, okay? So the best fat to use is everything that is at least for cooking, is stable, which is animal fat. You can use tallow, lard, the bacon grease when you cook some bacon, for example. Coconut oil is really stable. It's one of the best fat actually to cook with. You can use butter, a good quality butter, ghee. So these are really heat resistant, so you can cook food, you can fry your food in those oils. Actually, personally, I use coconut oil to fry some food when I make something fried. So that's heat resistant and it's not toxic for the body. And when it comes to, for example, oils to eat for like salad dressing and non-cook, of course, we talk about olive oil. So olive oil is really healthy. The problem is about 70% of the brands out there are olive oil diluted, watered down with soybean oil, corn oil, and different oils. Olive oil is a big market out there, so there's a lot of money involved, and there's a lot of companies that are being dishonest, and they sell olive oil claiming that it's 100% pure, but it's not. So 70% of the time, it's not. So if your olive oil is relatively cheap, most likely it's not real olive oil. So it should come in a dark bottle, and a good olive oil is $15, $20 a bottle, to be honest, which is pure, unrefined. And then we have avocado oil. So this is the one that I use actually when I cook with something or for salad dressing. So I use avocado oil, which has a lot of omega-9, good omegas, good nutrition, and it's heat stable as well. So you can use it for frying or cooking, and it has a good taste as well. Okay, our avocado oil has omega-9, which is the same omega as olive oil, and olive oil is known actually to help with heart disease prevention. Okay, people consume a lot of omega-9 olive oil, have a lower risk of heart disease, and avocado has the same type of omega. Okay, so these are the few things that we need to consider. So natural oils are healthy, but when it comes to vegetable oils, they are toxic, they are processed, they are not natural, so we shouldn't consume them. Go with good natural animal fats, which is the best for you. Actually, they have a lot of vitamins, a lot of nutrition. So I hope it makes sense. If you have any questions, let me know. You can write a comment below. Otherwise, have a blessed day.